Dear members of Social Work Fraternity, I welcome you all to first pre-conference lecture of Indian Social Work Congress that is to be held at Maulana Azad National Urdu University. It is an honor that Professor Brij Mohan, Dean Emeritus, School of Social Work, Louisiana State University, United States of America, is with us.
Adhering, मुद्दतें गुजरी और तेरी याद भी आई ना मैं तुझे भूल गया हूँ ऐसा भी नहीं मैं मौलाना आजाद उर्दू यूनिवर्सिटी का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया अदा करता हूँ कि आपने मुझे दावत दी I have dedicated this brief presentation in memory of Dr. Zafar Hassan, who was my mentor, friend, and a philosopher, and I owe my career to him. If I had not met him, I probably would not have joined social work. Social sciences did not come into existence immediately after Newton's law. They were developed in the post-war era. In post-war era, we saw more crime, we saw more suicide, we saw more post-traumatic syndromes, as we call it, PTSD, etc., etc. And this brought to the attention of social scientists how to integrate the broken individuals. My contention is, like an individual can be broken or alienated, society itself can be insane. And in order to rebuild a society, we have to have a system which has coherent values, which is found on not extremist partisan, religious or fundamental views, but on certain secular, universal, civil values of a society, which help us achieve and establish civility, a moral civility which empowers you to rise against the oppression. And if you cannot rise against the oppression, there is no way you can implement conscientization, which is basically a tool of self-awareness to combat the forces of darkness, the forces of oppression, like colonialism, like slavery, like evils of caste system, and so on and so forth.
We are honored that Dr. Chris Clark from University of Helsinki, Finland, is kind enough to accept our invitation. Dr. Clark, welcome.
We have wars, we have conflicts, we have all kinds of terrible things happening around the world. We have growing inequality. We have environmental catastrophes. We're living with the social disconnection and the challenges after a global pandemic. And we have mass migration, people who are thrust from land to land, country to country, because of these issues, these wars and conflicts. And at the same time, in some ways, we're more connected than ever. So what I'd like to do is talk first a little bit about structural social work. So how do we understand ourselves as social workers in these circumstances? How do we understand our mission of social work in these circumstances? And then I want to move on to maybe why colonization, coloniality is a relevant issue to think about when we consider social work. And finally, I want to end with some thoughts about what decolonization could do in terms of social work, how this could inform us better, how it could help us develop our own practices so that we could better serve our respective publics. So I just leave you with two questions that perhaps you could think of, because social work is a future occupation too. It's a future-oriented profession. What would it look like to reimagine the ancestors and the relatives in your location? What would that mean for your curriculum and the development of your social work? And how can we, as a profession, liberate social work from the grip of coloniality in our practices, in our ways of organizing our education.
It is honor for us to have Dr. P.M. Garrett from University of Galway, Republic of Ireland.
One of the core aims of the conference is to discuss and to deliberate some of the important issues and challenges for professional social work today. And we're also told in the literature that social work is committed to transforming our world. The global commitment is to leave no one behind in turbulent times, also finds its way into the conference as one of the themes and preoccupations. And I guess one of the phrases that stood out for me as I read the brochure was this notion of adhering to the pedagogy of the question rather than the answer, where we're told that the social work department has initiated a skill lab for facilitating students to make sense of hegemonic common sense. That in itself just seems a tremendously progressive initiative. And I wish at the university that I worked here in Ireland, there were such progressive initiatives as this. So I guess, again, that reflects highly upon Professor Shahid and the number of colleagues and students who are working with him around this perspective, the Gramscian perspective, and how it sheds light on particular factors to do with India and Indian social work in India. Collective action is essential, and those motivated by some of the imperatives I've sketched out might begin to think about creating oppositional structures within structures, dissenting structures inside of official social work and educational organizations. And then finally, clearly I'm not at the conference in person. As I said at the outset, though, I'm very grateful. It was lovely just to get the email out of the blue, invite me to come along, if only online, to say a few words. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for the invitation and the opportunity to participate, albeit in this form. And I hope you have a great conference. And if anyone wants to, contact me via email, just fire away the email. So thank you.
An enlightening lecture, and I think you have provided much food for thought to the prospective participants of 11th Indian Social Work Congress. I think you have rightly pointed out, and I can take a lesson for a country like India with enormous diversity and acute disparities. I think social work can't remain in the comforts of apolitical social work. It has to become dissenting social work. And rather, to use Gramsci, I must say social work has to become anti-hegemonic in nature. Your words are going to make much contribution to our conference. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Bye-bye.